The
Business
Oddcast.
Hello, and this is Stuart Morrison, and this is the Business Oddcast, and I'm here with
Hannah Logan. Hello.
Fantastic, and we're your hosts today, as we are every day every day.
Always. We're here
always,
to serve you.
ever present, lurking in the background, looking over your shoulder. Don't turn around.
Literally looking through your windows.
Hello.
Let me in.
Like and subscribe. Imagine that. Not ding dong. Hi, yeah, I run a YouTube channel and a podcast. Would you like to? Can I put you down for a like, a share, or a subscribe?
I'm going to try that on the way home.
We're coming round. Or if you hear a knock at the door tonight,
I'm just going to look through their windows till they get scared and then they'll just sign up.
would you like to take a short survey and subscribe?
I'll go away if you subscribe. That's the strategy. That's it.
I'm here today to talk to you about no, not God. No, I'm here today to talk to you about podcasting.
We could do Godcasting as well.
No,
Let's not do that.
just
yeah.
stick to the
Yeah.
Oddcast. Anyway, so what is the topic of the week, Hannah Logan?
So this week we are tackling the conversation of protecting your energy when the world won't slow down.
Oh,
Yeah, we've tried slowing the world down. Like Stuart and I put our arms around it and held it, but we couldn't hold it.
we need all the autists in the world to
Yes.
hold hands,
Just hold on to it.
run round in the opposite direction. I saw Superman do something similar.
That would create some kind of magic if all of the autists did. That's just amazing.
I think we could power a small city.
Yeah, or like take ourselves to a different dimension or something.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
that's how we get off this planet. That, ladies and gentlemen, that's the controversial proposal of today's episode.
Yeah.
Or we're going to get all of the neurodivergent folk in one place. Like we all go to the Isle of Wight and take off.
Why the Isle of Wight?
Well, because no one will miss it.
We're not starting a cult, by the way. I just want to put that out there. This is not some kind of way to onboard you all to our crazy.
Yes, sign up.
Yeah, we're doing it. So this is all about learning, learning how your energy works is one thing.
Yes.
And that's really important, a really important thing to know. But actually recovering from burnout is another. So protecting your energy long term in a world that constantly demands more is the real challenge, right? Because we are permanently being told through advertising and other people and that, more, better, faster,
yes.
more.
Consume.
We want it immediately. It needs to all be very instant.
When shall I consume, sir? Consume now.
Immediately. But we don't burn out because we touched on this in the last episode, right? We don't burn out because we're not trying hard enough. It's not like, oh, they're a bit shit. They never tried hard enough and then they blew up. It's not that. We burn out because we live inside systems that reward urgency, availability, over-functioning, and they punish kind of rest and boundaries and difference. So we're sort of fighting a slightly losing battle.
Yep.
This is about this. So this particular episode is about that maintenance fade. This is about the maintenance phase. How to protect our energy when we work, family, finances, social expectations. They don't all magically adjust just because we're tired, right?
No.
I wish
No.
they did. Wouldn't that be incredible? Like not
Like
today,
elastic.
lads. I've got no spoons. Oh, don't worry. Suddenly the whole world rotated slightly, and now no one wants you to hustle. Thank God for that. So this isn't an episode that we're not teaching you in this episode how to opt out of life, not even in the slightest. We're all about staying in it without constantly running ourselves into the ground. So that's where we're going with this episode.
I'm going to give you a running analogy.
I love an analogy.
Okay, so you only have to put these two runners side by side. Eliud Kipchoge, who is, I believe, still the fastest official marathon ever. Right? The
Nice.
man is built like a matchstick with the wood scraped off. Wiry and efficient. The man is a legend. Running at 13 miles an hour for 2 hours. It's the mind boggles at how somebody sustains that kind of output.
Yeah,
Just-
that's crazy.
Crazy time. And then you compare him to the fantastic Usain Bolt. he's a monstrous of a human. He's huge, he's tall, he's gangly, he's built big for explosive power. And you look at any athlete for any particular task, their body suits the task that they are efficient at doing. And the world is designed for Usain Bolts, and we're all Eliud Kipchoge. And so our methodologies are based on a faulty neurotype. To hideously mix my metaphors. Yes, it's talking about Eliud Kipchoge on a Mac. What?
It worked for my brain, so hopefully everyone else kept up.
That's what I feel like, is keep up or get gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Take it or don't. Your loss. So considering all of that, the first point I want to talk about really is that this is why the world doesn't slow down even when we want it to or when we need to, right? Because our energy or lack of at certain times doesn't change the systems around us, like we've already touched on. Things like capitalism, work culture, it's all built, social norms, and they all still expect constant output, reliable, constant output. And we don't have, well, I'm not going to generalise, a lot of us don't have that consistency, and it's not a bad thing because we work with our energies and stuff, but a lot of us don't have that consistency that means that we are able to just keep chugging through and we and we've touched on in last week's podcast, there are many ways to maximize our efficiency and make it work for us and all of those different goals that we all have and everything like that. But all the time we're in a system that needs us to be different. That's really hard.
I believe that there's quite a lot of the neurodivergent community out there who are going through brownout. So it's not quite a blackout. It's not a burnout. You aren't, you are physically not able to function. You're functioning at a level where you're there, but you're not present. You're kind of this twilight thing of constantly being tired, constantly being not enough, constantly, everything is just not where it needs to be. And I think that is very, very toxic in the long term. Well, eventually it will lead to burnout.
Yeah.
But if you recognise those symptoms, start thinking about what you're actually spending your energy on, because it's going to make a huge difference to outcomes.
Yeah, totally. That's self-awareness, and I'm only beginning to learn it at 51 years old.
It does take time. It does take time.
It does. It doesn't, we've said this as well before, but it's that permission to actually give yourself some airtime in your brain to be like, actually, what does Hannah want? What does Hannah need? And I'm not saying, I'm not going to start giving you all a lecture on how you need to look in the mirror every morning and say, you are enough. But you are, by the way, if you're listening, and you need to hear that. But that's not what we're saying here. We live in a society or a culture, working culture, where availability is the default expectation, right? Modern work culture assumes constant accessibility, quick replies, flexible calls, being readily available. But for a lot of us, that ongoing or that level of ongoing responsiveness can be cognitively and emotionally completely draining. That idea that you've got to always be on. A lot of us can't switch off, so we are...
it's chewing the cud. I call it chewing
completely.
The cud. You can't put it down just because you're obsessing about it. It's like, no, I should have said that. No, I should have said that. No, they should have said, no, they needed to. This is what I need to do. I should have done. Endless.
And we have that history, or sort of, we feel that pressure or this pressure more acutely because we have a history. A lot of us have a history of overcompensating, masking. Can you imagine if you're listening, you probably don't have to imagine because you are living this with us. But, having to pretend to be somebody else, or even to, in some cases, constantly overthink your facial expressions, the way that you responded to a text from somebody random that doesn't even matter 2 days ago. All of that for me, I have that constant conversation in my brain of all sorts of crazy shit that I wish I didn't.
I always identified with Superman in this regard. No, because Superman came to this world, right? He's an alien, and he's got immense power and strength because science reasons. And can you imagine the skill and care it requires for him to be around humans without, like, giving someone a hug? He could literally just squeeze them.
Crunch them.
How many did he go through before he realised, calibrate the pressure to be
10 dead people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Picks up a glass, shatters. And you're constantly trying to damp down your response or alter your response to the input. And if you get it wrong, it's instant catastrophe. Just
now, all I can imagine is all the bodies around Superman.
Yeah, nobody ever thinks
he
about
was
it.
Practicing hugs.
Nobody ever thinks about
I
it.
love that. Well,
the first person that shook Superman's hand has got a
got
deformed
no hands
hand.
now. Yeah.
Look, what
He's
happened?
got, like, little
I got
broken.
Superman hand. Superman shook my hand.
So that brings me nicely. This is not connected at all, actually,
No.
but that brings me to the kind of mismatch between capacity and demand for us, right? Because the external demands basically tend to stay pretty consistent. Deadlines, clients, income, all the demand is constant. I don't, if we manage our demand, it's not a painful constant, but it's consistent, right? Whereas our capacity fluctuates. My energy, we've covered this in previous episodes. Hopefully you've listened to all the episodes and you'll know this already.
Yes, we're going to be taking a quiz at the end.
But because we have a fluctuating capacity, when that comes up against the demands that are stable and our energy isn't, then stress and burnout are often hiding in the cupboard ready to come out, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
An overhead cupboard as well.
Like a tag team.
Now, overhead cupboard, you're not expecting it.
The one that falls on your
head, jumps you.
Yeah, no.
Oh, God. Thank God. It's just a freezer bag. Oh.
I've been taken out by appliances so many times in the overhead, like crunch.
Corkscrew nearly got me the other day. Open the door, comes out at me like, caught it. Whew.
Oh my God. My daughter still talks about the iron that took her out once. That was quite brutal.
An iron.
She coped with it quite well. It was a bit pointy,
Was it a 9 iron or a 5 iron? Here a week, tip your waiter. My problem that I expressed in the last episode was that there seems to be this one-size-fits-all to business, right? It's all about the hustle. We were talking about anti-hustle, and I expressed the opinion about slow business. And I'm of the opinion that urgency is usually because somebody hasn't planned something. Of course, I live in the digital world. Unplanned outages and various glitches can occur spontaneously. But that's why you have a plan in place before you reach that point, so that you're not responding in an emergency without a plan. The worst place to build an emergency response plan is in the middle of an emergency. So that's why I like to have things like that are regular, the regular routine in my life, so that if a customer comes to me and it happens, I need this doing. Usually I'll get them to slow down and explain to me why they need it doing, why the urgent deadline. But then you can plan, okay, how do we roll this out? So I think quite a lot of the times we respond to urgency with an immediate kind of, oh yeah, all right, yeah, no, because that's the overriding culture, is if somebody asks, you do. I'm not built that way. I'm a little bit more like, well, hang on a minute, whoa, slow your roll. I need to know some details here, because I'm not just going to accept on face value what you tell me. So that's a difficult one to square. A lot of people are going to go, yeah, but there's lots of unknowables that happen in the world. Well, work to get rid of them. Those are usually drama magnets. Exit them.
I think so. To counter that slightly, so for somebody like me, and I'm working on this and I've come quite a distance, I'm quite a people pleaser. So if somebody says, oh, I really need this done immediately, there is a part of me that wants to be the good girl that goes, oh, I can do that really quickly for you because I want to appear super efficient. But actually, I'm learning you get more respect, and actually you respect yourself better if you don't throw your hat into the ring on these kind of drama projects, because you don't get appreciated necessarily anymore for being the person that Superman'd in without crushing people to death. Um,
No, it's
yeah.
throwing yourself on the grenade.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
absolutely.
And nothing good comes from the first person who does that.
Yes.
So I've learned, when somebody goes, and this is usually how the problem is delivered, as a grenade. It's lobbed at you, and there's a ticking urgency that's attached to it, and they go, oh look, and I just let it bounce off my chest.
You just kick it to somebody else's.
And yes, I do like to help people. I do like to be helpful. But I've also realised that if by me helping somebody, I am not helping myself because I've overcommitted or I don't have the time. So something has to be juggled. And, it's going to usually be something that I want to do that's going to have to go. And somebody else's emergency is not my emergency. And it's the parenting thing of don't get engaged in the drama. I do want to help. I really do want to help people, but if you come running to me and you have failed to plan, then I'm not the bad guy just because I don't drop everything. And I think that's a life lesson, not just a business lesson. Because it's always a quick favour, isn't it? It's always like, oh, could you just do me this quick favour? I just need you to. And I found myself doing it to one of my developers. I would put, can you just have a look at this small job? Can you have a look at this? Could you just quickly jump on and do this? And he responded once, and it stopped me in my tracks. And it was delivered with there was no passion. It was just a text message that said, I decide what is small.
Oh, yes.
And English isn't his first language. And so he always tends to the blunt. And he's Slavic in tone. So, again, that language is quite blunt. And he just delivered the thing. It's like, please don't judge this job. You don't know what this is going to be until I have a look at it. It could be a really big problem. And you've just said, you've diminished and minimised my effort and input. And I kind of have that thought process now. It's like, why am I diminishing this? Why aren't I saying that this could be a big problem? Because it could be a big problem. I'm hoping for the customer it's not, but it could be. Why did I diminish it? And I think that it just corrodes your energy. And by just saying yes to all these quick favours, you're not doing yourself any favours. Also, there's the adrenaline of it, isn't it? It's something shiny, something new. Oh, nice little double dopamine adrenaline burst. I get some adrenaline and some dopamine. Oh, and I get to do something that's not the boring shit that I'm doing now. But that was the really exciting stuff yesterday. But yes, that was yesterday, Stuart. Shut up. Getting in the way of the shiny new.
But I personally find it easier in my life to set the emotional boundaries. And maybe it's simply that I, in some way, value my emotional state or understand it better than my energetic state. Like maybe my brain around my energy doesn't fully understand how energy zapping a lot of stuff can be, so therefore I don't prioritize putting the boundaries on that as much as I do on my emotional. But I think it's a very personal thing. I'm not very aware of my energy, my battery, until I've opened the spoon drawer and there's sod all in there. And I'm like, why am I crying at nothing? And then I'm like, oh, I ran out of all of the energy. Emotionally, I'm pretty in touch with my emotional side, in that probably because I've had years and years and thousands and billions of pounds worth of therapy. So I think personally, I see the signs on the emotional side quicker.
Oh, and I've got to put my hand up in the air here and say, yeah, I don't know what's ever's going on inside me at any one particular point in time. It's literally, it's like spin the roulette wheel of random. Setting an emotional boundary for me takes a lot of time because I've got to recognise that the emotional response to the negative input has taken a while for it to travel through and kind of resonate and go, oh, and that's why I end up saying yes to a lot of things. Oh yeah. And then later, a week later, 2 weeks later, and you're like, why did you say yes to this? They are clearly incompetent and this is all on them. And now you've agreed to say yes to take and clean up their do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's taken me years and years and years to get to the point where a no is a complete sentence in the moment.
you taught me that, and I've shared that with anybody that I think could value. Basically, anybody with ears, I tell them that, and they go, "Oh, that's really amazing." So yeah, you're like basically.
I didn't. I can't claim it. I heard it from somebody, and I was just like, it resonates hard. When I think the key to it is, if you're used to saying no, when you hear that, you're like, duh. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and. But when you're a people pleaser, when you completely go, a lot of mine was, I'll say yes so they like me. If I say no and I'm an awkward person, then this in-group that I find myself in, they seem to be tolerating me. I'll say yes to all of the things. They'll tolerate me even more, and I'll become the warm, fuzzy centre. I
can imagine you as the warm, fuzzy. I think that's really...
But no touching. Just not like that.
He doesn't want you to touch.
And no looking at me. Turn around. Why is Stuart standing in the middle of a group circle of people
looking
all facing
like
the other way?
Fuzzy.
Don't know. He's having all of the feels, apparently.
Oh, fabulous. So personally, I am pretty good at protecting my emotions, just because maybe, if I'm being honest on this massive podcast of all these people listening, maybe it's because I've known over the years, I've experienced what happens when I don't boundary my emotional side and end up getting kind of put through the rinser a bit by people that kind of take advantage of that. Whereas for me, my energy... It's only in recent months, really, all these years later, that I've realised that my energy resources is finite. My energy when I was younger just seemed to keep coming back, but now it just doesn't.
If I don't regulate my energy, then my emotional response is all... I'm much more emotionally regulated when my energy is regulated than... And I will make stupid decisions when I'm tired and hungry and I'm at my ragged end, and it's been like that for 3 days and I'm overworked. There will be just stupid emotional decisions because I can't regulate. I can't hold it. It's just flailing around. And I think that's why I feel that the energy boundary for me is the red rope. Because that allows me to do the internal regulation, and too much overstimulation or energy burning leads to dysregulation. And I think that for me is how it works.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I can relate to that. Also, somebody said the other day, and it's so true, I've heard it a million times, being tired makes everything much worse. Whatever it is, being tired, lack of sleep, which really messes with your energy, right? Makes everything worse. So actually recently I have been much more boundaried around my sleep for myself. I was what's the word, neglecting my sleep, staying up stupid late, then getting up stupid early, and being like, oh, I'm fine, I don't need much sleep. But actually I do, because recently I've been trying to be more regulated, better patterns, better habits really around my sleep, and it has improved my energy and my general mood. It makes me less of a bitch, which is a bonus. The sentence "I don't have capacity" is a complete sentence. It's the same as "no" is a complete sentence. That's okay in business or in personal relationships. It's okay to say, I've not got the capacity, I've not got the spoons, I've not got the whatever. We don't need to over-explain ourselves. We don't need to justify. We don't need to justify our own limits. If we haven't got the capacity, we haven't got the capacity, and that's okay.
Well, especially... So this is the Business Oddcast, and there are many types of businesses out there, all sorts of different industries and whatever, but you will only have a certain amount of capacity. Okay, and you increase that capacity as profit goes up. You can add staff members and production facilities and offices and all of the wonderful things that come with a thriving enterprise. But you will still only have a finite capacity within that business. And if you overcommit it, you create problems for that business. And it's exactly the same as a human being, especially a neurodivergent human being. You overcommit your capacity, your energy, your emotional availability. And I think bad things are bound to happen.
really bad things. The other day, Stuart, I sent a proposal out. As I pressed send, I sat back and thought, I really hope they don't accept that. And then I thought, oh, why would you send out a proposal? And that is a beautiful example of the people pleasing in that moment overtaking my capacity, because my gut told me as it left my send, left my outbox, my gut told me, yeah, you haven't really got capacity for that. And I put you've seen it yourself. I won't name and shame myself too much, but I put my hand up for shit all the time, don't I? I'll do that. I'll go to that ridiculous thing that I don't want to go to, that's just going to burn through all of my energy. I do that all the time.
But no, I don't think that necessarily comes from any kind of bad place or self-harm. I think it also comes from the enthusiastic wonder that a lot of neurodivergents I meet still have a lot of that wonder of the world, and they want to be engaged with it, and it's their capacity or their energy or their skill set or whatever that's let them down. But it doesn't stop. They quite often say that neurodivergence can seem a bit naive, a bit childlike, and I think it's just because the wonder in the world hasn't been crushed for whatever reason.
Yes. It completely is.
And you want to put your hand up and go, yeah, I want to be involved. That sounds amazing. Why would I not want to do that? That's great. And it's only when you get into it and you go, I have no energy for this. I have literally not thought this through beyond I needed the dopamine adrenaline rush of everyone going, yay, Stuart's doing the thing. Now I'm up the ladder in the rain and I don't know if I've got the capacity to get down the ladder.
And everybody needs boundaries, right? I always harp on about boundaries. People
Absolutely.
are probably bored of me saying this now. But they're protecting relationships. They're not damaging them. And that goes for work relationships, friendship relationships, love, our interpersonal relationships. So, yeah, I think sometimes the people that feel like you're punishing them need to have a little word with themselves, because it's not about that.
Life is like cricket. It's no good without boundaries.
Oh, God. He's
You're
not
a weak
wrong.
tea waiter.
It took me about 3 seconds to get that. I was like, on camera, I'm probably just got my tongue hanging out like, what?
So the best boundary. Do you want to know what the best boundary is? And my favourite boundary.
What is it?
No.
And it's a complete sentence.
There we
apparently.
go.
Somebody very intelligent told me.
Full stop, move on. And if you need an explanation, then depending on context will be entirely how much explanation for my no you get. If I haven't got the energy, it's just no.
It's just no. I don't want to.
If I haven't got the energy and you are related to me, you may get no and a short sentence explaining why.
Is it a friendly sentence or is it
maybe.
a fuck off sentence?
It may be. It just depends how deep in the hole I am for the energy budget I have not allowed for.
No and sod off.
Usually if you come with a cup of tea and a chocolate biscuit, then you get more sense. But I think, and I know it's really easy to have a lot of privilege, and I have got a lot of privilege in my life. I appreciate that. To say something as glib as that and to say, well, it doesn't impact you. It's easy enough for you to say that. But until you do start saying it, you can't ever manage your own boundaries, because any boundary management surely has to come from a no, that's not where I am at the moment. You can't. And any successful business negotiation, there are boundaries in that negotiation. No, we won't do this. No, we won't go beyond that. No, those hard boundaries are in place for a very, very good reason, because they protect the core of the business from whatever it's experienced, whatever contract it's going into.
Do you find as well, so there will be people in your personal life, in your work life, that have their own good understanding of boundaries, and therefore they'll take the no and be like, no worries, let's pick another time. And there'll be other people that push back and want you to give your life story, because actually they're just trying to chip away at you until you go, oh, okay then.
Red flag.
Yeah, same in businesses and in personal
If you do not respect the boundary around my time, I cannot work with you. I just full stop, end of sentence, no. And if somebody says, oh, but I get it. There are sometimes exceptional circumstances, but if this is an early meeting between us where we're establishing boundaries and rules around how we work together, I will apply it vigorously and without mercy.
As business owners, or as just humans really, we need to decide what isn't worth the cost anymore. Because that tendency, certainly in my world, to try and do everything, regardless of whether that's got a huge emotional cost, energy cost, all of the above, is really important to actually whittle down and work out what isn't worth it anymore. The things that really drain your energy, and then having the power, the wherewithal to be able to say no to them, is really, really, really important. Sort of, so I guess evaluating both the tangible rewards from whatever that thing is, and also the personal cost, that will actually help you ensure that everything that you commit to or don't commit to is aligned with not only your capacity but also your long-term well-being. Letting go of the shoulds. You know, how many of us, I do it all the time, I really should I've got to do this at the weekend, I really should do this. Should we? Those shoulds often are nothing to do with what we want to do and everything to do with kind of external expectations. And some of those external expectations are not real. They're literally RSD in our brain going, they'll hate you if you don't.
Yeah.
But they're not aligned with what we need, you know. So actually all these shoulds, for me, breed resentment. You know, you get to the end of the week and you've done so many shoulds and you're like, bloody hell, I've got nothing left in the tank because I've done all these obligations, and it's just exhausting. And it does, for me, it breeds resentments. And then I find myself like bitching about somebody that didn't even know I didn't want to do it because I just said, yeah, of course, in my enthusiastic manner. And then behind them in my brain, I'm like, for fuck's sake, you know, I'm annoyed with them. But I could have just boundaried it, you know. I could have done my no full sentence. I'd have been all right. So
I've got another one.
Yeah.
This one's way blunter. It's slightly more words as well.
Go on then.
I would help you, but I don't want to.
Oh, I love that. I love the honesty, but if you said that, if you said that to me, I would know that it was just exactly that. But if most other people said that to me, I'd be like, oh, why do they hate me? Whereas with you, because I know you well enough and I know that you say it as it is, I love that. And my husband's the same. If he just said, I just don't want to, it wouldn't be like, because I hate you. It would literally be, I just don't want to. It's nothing personal at all. I love that. I think the whole world should be more like that.
No, it's a nightmare. I am a complete nightmare. Do you want to go to the thing? No. Why is that? Just don't want to.
But it's kind of brilliant, isn't it?
No, because it's a wet blanket, isn't it? Somebody comes to you enthusiastically with their puppy wagging tail going, let's go and do so-and-so. No, why? Let's go to a country house. Why? Stare at some old furniture.
Pretend to be interested in dust-covered chaise longues.
Yeah, I have to look at everything being badly manufactured because it was the 1600s, all wonky and. Yes, but it's history, Stuart. History wrong.
Sucks.
History, no. Have a boundary. No history.
I think
here and now or nothing.
But if we base all of our decisions on the need for that kind of immediate approval, that pat on the head, then it completely undermines the sustainability of our life, our business. You know, we can't keep being a people-pleasing, got to people pleaser, because
I don't like those people though.
No.
Because I feel like it's shifting sands.
Yeah.
They'll please me whilst they're in front of me, but if somebody else asked them to do something else that was against what I was doing, then they'd say yes to that. Where's the backbone?
Oh yeah, there's no loyalty there.
No.
They just want to please everybody, basically. They just want to please.
I get the impetus that you want. It's not malicious in that they're trying to do you down. I just don't think they think that deep. I just think it's literally I've got to say yes. And
it's an insecurity, isn't it?
It is
it's just
definitely.
Literally an insecurity, I think.
Yeah.
For me, when I finally managed to shoehorn those boundaries in, be it business or personal, the respect grows, the relationship strengthens. Certainly not certainly, in both scenarios, but definitely in business, when you've all established the way that it works, I've got one client that just gets really enthusiastic and messages me whenever, Sunday, Monday.
Sorry about that.
But it's not Stuart. and I love this person as well. But actually at that point, and they totally respect that I won't answer during the weekend. They just want to get it off their brain. And I at that point need to manage my own boundaries of like, do not check it. Then everyone's a winner. That kind of leads us on to the next bit really of how do we protect our recovery in a world that wants us just to not even need that recovery.
Well, last episode we spoke about the anti-hustle culture, and my entire response to this would be go and listen to that episode. Pushing yourself especially when you're coming back after a burnout or any kind of over energetic response, that over commitment, over emotions, whatever. You can't come back at full speed. You just cannot come back at full speed. Like any injury, you have to take time to recover. And if you don't, you just end up in perpetual brownout. You just do. And I've seen it, and I think I'm not a medical expert, and this is massive overreach from my viewpoint. But I think a lot of, and I kind of think of this in terms of a lived experience. I got treated for depression on 3 separate occasions, and looking back, I definitely identify that 2 of them were different to 1 of them. And it was more akin to a twilight zone brownout, where it wasn't really that I was depressed. It was just I had no capacity, no function, no focus. There was no up, no down. I was just meh. And it was that I was just coping on very little sleep, way too much work, way too much young family life, way too much life, and not respecting my own off time by shoehorning in even more hobbies and events. And I should have said more often, I need to take this weekend. I need to do nothing. And my version of nothing is probably a lot more than most people's.
It's not just lying in a dark room, is it?
I built all these shelves.
My nothing today is a shed that I've built by hand.
I'd rather turn up 10 hours a week and be bing on it, smash it, and do good work than be in this perpetual twilight, wiped yet wired zone where nothing really gets done to your fullest capacity, and you're constantly putting out fires. And I know, because I've been in that absolute situation that you are literally jumping from one disaster to the next and staying just enough ahead of it and feeling like if I stop, it all falls down. That doesn't lead anywhere good mentally. At all. So I would recommend not doing that. That's why you need firebreaks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, firebreaks revolutionise your life. Just literally saying no and doing nothing for an entire day, at least once a month. Being accountable to no one but yourself for your entire 24 hours on the planet, and doing nothing. Literally, if nothing for you is walking through a forest, go do nothing. If it's sitting by a pond drowning worms, go do nothing.
Drowning worms? Unless you're like hurting kittens, do not do that. If that's your nothing, leave them alone.
No, but do you know what I mean? Everyone's got a thing which is, I'm going to go and do nothing. Standing on a football terrace, chanting. I don't think there's terraces now. I think everywhere's seated. But the idea is that you go and do your version of you, which is accountable to no one or nothing, and being unapologetic about it to everybody, including your family. If your nothing is being with your family, then be with your family. Of course, be with your family. But the point to it is having that fire break between projects. I try and do it between projects. I also try and shoehorn in a massage. Yes. It's just a reset and a recalibration, click everything back into place, and feel like I'm prepared for the next. That was the good preparation for the next sprint. We didn't touch on it last time about the anti-hustle, but I want to talk about the different cadence of energy that neurodiversity can bring, because I've noticed it in others, and I definitely noticed it in myself. It's a pulse. It's not a consistency. I can accelerate and do it for about 6 months a year. And it might come all in one burst, or it might come in several bursts. But between 6 and 8 months a year, I'm productive. The other 4 months of the year, my brain will refuse to do anything. It just, I can hit it with a stick. I can come in and do 12-hour days. I won't get anything done. I call it massaging pixels. I'm just moving pixels around. I'm not doing anything. I just,
pretending. It's like you're a kid dressed in your dad's work clothes, like just pretending to do stuff.
But I remember, and I think this is a testament to the processes and the business that you build. But when my parents died, there was basically a 2-year period where I was more or less absent from my own business. And I don't mean I'd come in a few hours a week. I mean, I'd be out for weeks. The odd text message from my PA, some technical notes aside, but I was totally mentally, I just didn't have any capacity. There was nothing there, even if I'd have sat at a computer. And I think that's the key to this. Building a business, you can escape if you need to. Now, that's not going to work for everybody. I get it. If your skill set is being there day in, day out, nobody can build a house and then just slide somebody in. Oh, I'm just putting in the substitute bricklayer. But the point to it is regulate yourself in the way that best works for your energy by noticing how your energy shows up. And coming back full bore after an outage, after a burnout, after a boundary reset or whatever, is just going to create more problems in the longer term. It's the classic. You've done tons of therapy, so you're gonna.
I really have.
You're gonna understand this one. We make the same mistake over and over and over again until we learn the lesson and adapt and change our behaviour or change our attitude. And so if you're looking at the radio, the website or whatever, and us shouting, that might be all right for you, but I've got to keep going, chickens will come home to roost at some point, and you choose where it's hard. And right now, it's not going to be as hard as it's going to be when you're lying flat on your face, completely burnt out, unable to move, as I found out firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. And, everybody listening knows that I've had and I'm going through health problems and stuff. At the beginning of this, I did go through the kind of, no, but I need to keep earning this amount of money, and the panic. But actually, I couldn't. And we have survived as a family, and we continue to survive as a family with less income. And guess what? We just cut our cloth accordingly. We didn't all implode or, It hasn't been a disaster, and actually, what I've done is cut back.
2 new cars on the drive is a disaster for your health. Got that T-shirt. One of my boundaries is if somebody judges me on my material possessions, then you're not inside the red road.
Kick him into the sun. Throw them in the sea.
Yeet.
Stuart, as a great example of somebody that is living with these boundaries and living this life without apologising for it, because that's where we all want to get to, right? How are you doing this? I mean, this is the next kind of talking point.
I find it very difficult to talk about myself as an example, because it all feels a bit like I ran downhill faster than my legs could carry me, and my arms were flailing, and I somehow managed to remain upright and grab hold of a wheel of cheese. And people are turning and saying, so as an example of a life well lived, how does the cheese taste?
Pure luck.
Well, as I heal from my broken leg, the cheese will sustain me. So it all feels a bit like I got here by survivor bias. I don't know. You always talk to the survivors and they always tell you their story, but that's not the story of everyone who died, was it? Doesn't mean to say you won. You just survived. So I think the key to it, and at this point, everybody lean into the device you're listening on, because you're going to get a real wisdom of nuggetry here. The real way to live completely differently to anybody you know. So that at a dinner party, when somebody says, "What do you do for a living, Stuart?" your partner rolls their eyes because they know that now you're going to be the centre of attention for the next 20 minutes when you start regaling people with stories of what you've got up to. Lean in and know this. The way you live completely free is to say, fuck it. Fuck it. Anybody's opinion of what you are, who you are, or what you do that is not informed by the warm human that you are. Obviously, don't go around being an absolute tosser.
Yeah.
But if I walk across the road and I'm in one of my loud suits, fuck it. Don't care if anybody likes it, doesn't like it, laughs, shouts at me in the street. Fuck it. I don't have the latest car. Fuck it. Don't have the latest opinion about something. Fuck it. I can't be across everything at all times, you know. And my attitude is, I'm a really good person that tries really hard, does as well as he can for his family without apologising for being an odd weirdo. And if you don't like being around an odd weirdo, don't be around me. I won't be offended. I get it. I'm not everyone's. I am Marmite. I am human Marmite.
I love Marmite.
Some people love Marmite. That's just what I'm saying. But the point to it is, the more unapologetically me I have been, my life has got easier because the people that needed me to be the version of me that made their life easier have gone away because I stopped saying yes. I stopped people pleasing. I stopped going, oh, well, those are my friends, so I really should do. No, your real friends are there whether you say yes or no. They're there when you say no and they turn up anyway and go, I'm here to help. I know that, you know, you've got a problem. And I think for me, knowing as I do myself quite well, I know what I need, so I have very clear boundaries about what I need and expect from a friendship. And if somebody stepped over it, it'd be unfortunate, but unfortunately,
throw them into the sun.
Yeet. And it's not one size fits all, is it? You know, if a new person that you meet starts taking you for granted, then they get exited swiftly. But if it's an old friend who's going through it for a bit and does start to take you for granted, you know that they're going to come back. That's not the default position. Their brain is on other things. And if it goes on for too long, it should be a good enough friendship where you say, look, mate, I'm here for you. I want to be here for you, but this is kind of taking over. Can we rejig? And if they're a good friend, they'll say yes. And that's the friends I have. And that's a curated list of people that get inside the red rope and get access to the VIP lounge, which is where all the fun happens, ladies and gentlemen.
Free peanuts. I don't know why I said that.
They get thrown at your head. You've got duck and weave.
You get taken out like a BB gun of peanuts.
But yeah, my whole thing is I am completely unapologetic me. I don't care. It's been that way since I was in my mid-20s. I was odd and weird before that. I didn't fit in and I decided, fuck it. I can either break myself into some weird shape that will never snap back, or I can just, okay, this is it. This is the way of the world. I'll be me. So I redefined my success and worth. I don't care what anyone thinks of me as long as I've got a roof over my head and food in my children's stomachs. And I have to really underline this. That wasn't always the case. We have gone through moments where it's been very touch and go. And the choice between heat and shelter over food for the adults is something I want to say I recognise. And if anybody ever needs a meal, come and knock on my door. I will feed you. I know how that's been. And no shame on it. You know, economic circumstances are fucking nightmare sometimes, especially when you're self-employed and the vagaries of that. But you see, again, I've never tied my self-worth to having a particular size or style or type of business. I'm proud of what I've achieved, but you know, who wants to be go into a family meeting? Yeah, I make inflatable slippers. He's the guy who makes inflatable slippers. It's Stu. He's over there. Go and get his signature. He made the inflatable slippers.
Just don't walk on any scratchy floors in them.
Exactly. So, you do you. Is what I'm saying is do not try and walk in my shoes. They will pinch because they are new DMs.
I love it. So I guess we're at the takeaway.
Oh, we're at the takeaways already. No,
not the takeaways. I want to keep talking till all my spit runs out. Why would I say that? Oh my God, you can tell it's been a long day.
Long afternoon.
So here's some of my key takeaways. Understanding energy doesn't remove the external pressure. So protection is really, really vital. Protection of your own energy. Understanding how your energy is zapped and then protecting that is completely crucial.
Yeah.
And also we've discovered, haven't we, that urgency is rarely neutral. It always carries a real energy cost. It can also carry a real kind of stress cost, all that kind of last minute.
I think it's a karmic cost as well.
Yeah.
In your brain, you're like, oh, if I don't help them, I'm a bad person.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be better and all of that shit. And we've talked about boundaries endlessly. They protect capacity, not just our feelings. So it's that energy and that emotional combined, both equally important. And saying no is okay. It's okay just to not want to do something. We don't have to have a really valid reason. Make up some crap excuse about how your leg fell off and you've got to sew it back on and you've got to limp over to the computer. No, just sorry, I can't do that. Why? I just can't. I always get a why. Why? I want to say none your business. I'll tell you why, because I don't want to. Also, recovery needs ongoing protection. It's like a full-time job. So, you just need to bear that one in mind. And a slower, safer life is not a failure. For a lot of people, it's an actual life goal, isn't it? A nice, calm, slow. I don't understand. I'd be really interested. It's not something that anybody could get the stats for, right? I'd be really interested if I scooped up everybody on LinkedIn and I worked out the people that are pretending that they'll be like, yeah, hustle. Are they real hustlers or are they just people that bought into that bullshit? How many of the people living their kind of,
I've got a controversial opinion about that.
Ooh.
No, Stuart. No.
Surely not. I don't believe it.
The people who are most active on LinkedIn are the people least likely to be active off in LinkedIn.
Yes.
I think it's an inverse proportion. If you see somebody showing, oh, but Stuart, you've got to show up and network and do it, then it only takes me 10 minutes a day and all the rest of it. No, it doesn't take 10 minutes a day.
It takes your whole life.
It takes you 4 hours because you spend 2 hours pouting at the don't.
So Stu, what are your top tips?
Okay, these are going to be a whistle-stop tour of things that can make your life better. Apply at your own cost and your mileage may vary. That's the disclaimer. You may not have the same good outcomes as I did, but it will be dependent on context and consistent application. So here we go. The rundown. If you're feeling rushed, you've got to ask yourself, is it urgent? In fact, get your to-do list and write down next to absolutely everything on the to-do list the ultimate consequence of not doing the thing. Okay? And unless it directly ties to money in your bank account, get rid of it. If you're struggling to say no, maybe try something like, I don't have the capacity for that right now. And then ask them, is the deadline the deadline? Is there something else we could work out? If it's an interesting thing to you, you can always use it as a no thank you. No, I don't have the capacity for that for the next 6 months. I'm really sorry.
Rest of my life.
Yes. That's when people say, when can you do that? Never? Does never work for you? Never works for me. How about never? Should we agree on never? Never it is. Let's do never. So if your energy is dipping, okay, and you've got to learn to anticipate this as well. You've got to look at this is why having a diary and putting things in your diary is really important. Boundaries prevent breakdowns, so do not feel guilty about applying them when it's self-preservation. Put that oxygen mask on yourself first, because if you are going to be a productive human, whatever capacity that productivity looks like, you have to do it respecting your own boundaries. And if you don't respect your own boundaries, nobody's going to respect your boundaries. Nobody comes voluntarily and applies boundaries that impacts their interaction with you or access. So make sure you do that. You've got to protect any recovery like you would an injury. You cannot expect to come back at full strength straight away. And I would argue, if you got injured doing something, why would you want to go back and do that again? You know, come back differently, reinvent yourself. We said last time, love a pivot. You know, is there something you could systematize to make more of a process in your business that you could just sell over and over and over again? We've just realized this with one of our businesses, and we are paring everything down and just selling the one thing. Too many demands, then you get to decide what stays and what's going. Just think to yourself, is this worth the cost? The emotional dysregulation, the physical, mental dysregulation, the loss of capacity, the burnout threat. Is it worth all of that? And this is where you have to really, really accept yourself and accept that your, I don't want to say limitations, but your own internal mental, physical boundaries have finite capacity. So why you would try to overextend that for any great period of time and expect good things, have a think about that. And the final thing is, if the world is not prepared to slow down, and we come full circle all the way back to the topic for this episode, if the world is not willing to slow down, it does not mean to say you have to speed up. You're not on the motorway. You don't have to keep up with the traffic. If your life needs to be slower, and that means you need to reduce your horizons on many different things, but it gives you your sanity back and a capacity to enjoy the time you have on this planet, then please, please, please take the time out that is required to right size your energy budget. That's all I've got to say on the matter. So there's a lot there, a lot to unpack, a lot of things to think about, a lot of quite deeply personal decisions might need to be made. But I'm telling you, once you've cleared the cupboard and you've only got stuff that's inside the best before date in that cupboard, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Don't know what that tells you about my brain,
but yeah, I think in fact, it's this entire episode that I've realised actually there's a lot in my life that is right, and a lot of the people in my life respect the things that I've had to either let go or apply, or boundaries, including my wife and my children and everything. So I do think this episode has sort of shown me that. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you've liked all that. If you like a boundary, or if you don't like a boundary, tell us in the comments. Let us know.
I'll fight you about the boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries are rubbish. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Oh, it's pantomime season all of a sudden. So do let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to tell somebody about the Oddcast. Just share it with one person. We'd really appreciate that. That'd be very lovely. So thanks very much for listening, and it's been lovely to talk about the topic this week. Hannah, what is the topic next week?
Well, it's the first topic of April, first episode of April next week, I do believe.
And I do believe it's also episode 30.
It's 30.
30?
Oh,
We'd be having a cake with candles on it and blowing it out if it was a human.
We're only like 70 episodes away from our 100.
Get a telegraph.
Goals.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, tangent. So the next episode 30, is the Executive Dysfunction Diaries, and what it feels like.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was going to say we all love a bit of executive dysfunction. We don't,
No.
but I'm sure we can all relate to it.
Definitely.
yeah.
Okay. Well, next week we will be discussing that topic and hopefully figuring out some stuff. Because I certainly figured out some stuff today. So thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Step away from PAYE. Don't do it.